Our first story of the night is a truly disturbing development out of Australia. It has been revealed that the Australian government is paying Australian mothers $4,200 for ending the life of their unborn child after 20 weeks. Let me repeat that. The Australian government, with taxpayer funds, is paying women to end the life of their child after 20 weeks. The revelation comes from Dr Joanna Howe, who is a professor of law and pro-life advocate. What some people may not be aware of is that Australia is an extremely dark place when it comes to ending the lives of children. For example, in Australia, if a baby survives an abortion, it can be left to die without a legal right to care. But right now, we are finding out that not only is this monstrous practice of leaving babies somewhere on the sidelines to die a horrific death commonplace, the government is also financially incentivizing mothers to do it. Here's what Joanna Howe had to say about it.
But today, I think what's going to shock you even more is the fact that we are actually funding late-term abortion in this country. And there's actually a dead baby bonus. That's just, I think, going to be mind-blowing for you. And I'm going to explain it step by step so that when you talk about it with people, you're going to be able to explain this to them. So the first time I heard this, I thought it can't be true. And the way that I heard about it was a hospital administrator got in contact with me, a South Australian hospital administrator, and she just said that she and other workers at the hospital, particularly midwives, were just really traumatised and shocked by the increasing number of late-term abortions involving healthy babies that they didn't think would ever happen. But then, and I'll just pull up that data now. You can see 80% of late-term abortions in South Australia since they legalised abortion up to birth in 2021. These actually kill healthy babies with nothing wrong with them, and the mother's life is not at risk. And what she said to me, though, was not only are there all of these increasing social terminations, she called them, so abortions for social reasons, but she said we're actually being forced to sign off on forms, Centrelink forms, where these women can get the stillborn parenting payment. And she said that's adding a double level of trauma for us because we're being forced to participate in this system and then we're signing off to give these women money. And then one of the midwives that reached out to talk to me about this off the record, and none of these guys can talk about it on the record because they would lose their jobs. They're not blowing the whistle because this is actually legal. And so there's no whistleblowing protection for them. But one of the women that reached out, one of the midwives, she said one of the late-term abortions that was done was so traumatic because the woman that wanted it literally said, I'm going to have this abortion and I'm going to use that money and I'm going to go to Bali.
So Australian taxpayers are funding irresponsible women who get pregnant and then choose to kill their babies so they can go on a holiday to Bali. Dr Joanna Howe then explains how a stillborn baby payment has become a financial incentive for women to take the life of their children. Take a listen.
So you might be wondering, how is the stillborn parenting payment available for a late-term abortion? Here I need to do just a quick recap of the method for a late-term abortion, and I'll pull up the policy from a New South Wales hospital, and it's the same process everywhere. So what occurs is the mother goes into the hospital, she goes under general anaesthetic, but an abortionist will inject the baby's heart in utero with poison, so it's either digoxin or potassium chloride. The baby then goes into cardiac arrest and dies in utero, so they die in the mother's womb. Now, they have to get that baby out some way, and the way they do it is they induce labour in the mother. So she takes pills that lie to her body and make her think that she's going into labour early. She then delivers that baby vaginally, but she's not delivering a live baby, she's delivering a stillborn child. So it's a forced birth of a stillborn baby. Now, because that baby is stillborn, this is what then makes her eligible to receive the $4,325. If we pull up the definition by Centrelink of how we define stillbirth for our payments, what they say is to be eligible for our payments, a stillbirth needs to meet our definition. A stillborn baby is one who had not breathed since delivery and had no heartbeat after birth. To be considered stillborn, a baby also has to have had a gestational period of at least 20 weeks or weighed at least 40 grams at their birth. So what this means is if you're in a late-term abortion, you are after 20 weeks. You haven't breathed because you've been killed in utero and you have been delivered and there's no heartbeat. Now, A late-term abortion meets that definition, and there's no carve-out to say that the stillborn has to be natural rather than intentional.
So what this means is that the stillborn baby payment is now effectively an incentive for killing your child at 20 weeks. Dr. Howe explains how this works and the impact that it's having on those signing off on it.
Now, what evidence do you need to provide to Centrelink to claim the stillborn parenting payment? Well, you either have to provide a birth certificate or a letter on hospital letterhead from the doctor or midwife who attended the baby's delivery and that verifies the full details of the birth mother and the child. So for a stillbirth, you don't even need to have registered the birth and got a birth certificate. You can actually just get the letter from the hospital. And this is what the hospital administrator told me. We're writing more and more of these letters and the midwives are signing them, and it is just adding such a level of trauma to them because they're powerless. They're powerless to stop it. These aren't the midwives who actually killed the baby. These babies are killed by an abortionist, but then these women are presenting at the hospital and the midwives are delivering this deliberately killed stillborn child, many of whom are healthy. In fact, 80% in South Australia are healthy.
Needless to say, no one in the mainstream media is reporting on this. Dr. Howe has asked Australians to get involved to stop this monstrous practice. People can go to drjoannahowe.com.au/abortion_bonus and sign her petition, which calls on the Prime Minister and the Minister for Social Services to immediately halt the use of taxpayer funds to pay a late-term abortion bonus to parents who have deliberately undertaken an elective stillbirth after 20 weeks. It's hard to believe that in a modern day society where we're sold the idea that Western nations are somehow the shining light to the world of morality and ethics, that this is going on. And perhaps an equally evil aspect of this is that taxpayers are expected to foot the bill for this depraved practice. If you'd like to follow Dr. Howe, you can do so on her YouTube channel, Dr. Joanna Howe. We hope that people continue to raise awareness on this and hope to see this practice end immediately.